Hi everyone, #1 Marmaduke fan here, and I've kind of got a Schrodinger's cat of comic book reviews. The only reason I know what Schrodinger's cat even is because of the hashtag the science I bleeping love science Facebook page. Essentially, it's a thought experiment about subatomic science that I don't even understand, where Schrodinger said that for this idea about subatomic physics to be true, a cat could theoretically be alive and dead at the same time until we open the box and see whether it's alive or dead. So it's a weird thought experiment. It's essentially just an illustration of the law of non-contradiction. But today I've got a Schrodinger's cat situation because I'm looking at Batman Beyond trade paperback, Volume 2, City of Yesterday. And I honestly do not know if this is SJW trash or if this is great and subtle. I kind of have the opposite problem that Zach has had, where Zach started doing a detox series where he'd read a bunch of good comics in a sitting to help him recover from reading a bunch of SJW trash in a row. I'm not sure if I've been immunized to SJW trash, so I'm not as angry as I should be, or if I'm so annoyed by after finishing Punisher the Platoon #2, maybe now I'm hypersensitive and I'm breathing too much into this. So I'm just going to talk through it, and you guys can let me know in the comments if I need my own detox time here. So pretty much I already reviewed the first volume of Batman Beyond, and I really dug it. I thought it was a great action-adventure story. It started really good, and it kept building the stakes. Boom, boom, boom. It moved really fast. It was fun for me as a fan of the animated series. You could go watch that review, and pretty much everything I said there would be pretty much true of this continuation. It's still a good action comic. I still think it's pretty well drawn. I still think Barbara Gordon's too old to be running around and being Tim Drake's sidekick. I think that's a role that should have gone to Max. Come on, guys. She's got short pink hair. She's black. She is a super genius. She's got kind of a salty personality, and she is such an awesome character. She has all the superficial traits that would make an SJW diversity character, but because in the series she actually has flaws and makes mistakes, and because she actually empathizes with Terry and helps Terry out, she comes off as a really kick-butt secondary character. She's a great part of that supporting cast, and it just 2 volumes in a row, it feels like they've really missed an opportunity. If you're going to have a story set, this isn't the animated series universe of Batman Beyond, but it's a universe that's similar to the animated series. Well, don't miss the opportunity to have some of the characters we liked from that series come back and maybe let 50, 60, 70, 80-year-old Barbara Gordon, let her go into retirement and get some fresh blood. I also mentioned that I thought Micron was an excellent guest star, where he looked cool and he didn't upstage Batman. And the political theme of Volume 2, City of Yesterday, is actually the B plot. The A plot is just sort of a generic adventure story. It's fun. There's some fighting, and then as I started to read it, when I got about halfway through the book and I started noticing the political B plot, my first thought was, oh, this is great. This is so subtle. This is much better than Punisher the Platoon. This is like another love letter to SJW Marvel of how they could talk about politics and not be so on the nose or blatantly annoying about it. And then as I read more and more, the political message started getting more and more on the nose and less tactful. So that's the reason I'm conflicted. So let's start telling you the story. So the B plot starts where Gotham, essentially Brother Eye has destroyed most of the worlds, right? So there's very little resources. There's anarchy. The society has collapsed, and Gotham is one of the very few places that's remained intact because Bruce Wayne was able to protect it from Brother Eye. And there's a shot of a wall and a huge mass of humanity. The teeming masses are begging to be let in, and the Gotham police are keeping them out, and Batman essentially wants them to let all the refugees in and share in Gotham's resources and food and medicine. And then Luke Fox, who is the son of Lucius Fox is the mayor. He also apparently was Batwing. That's a character I know nothing about and have a hard time caring about it, because Batwing is kind of the dumbest name for a Batman sidekick ever. Just go commit to the bit and make him Batboy or something. I don't know. But so Luke Fox has grown up and he's the mayor, and he makes a rational point. If we let them into Gotham, the entire system will collapse. We have limited resources. If you let in thousands and thousands of people into a place where you have limited resources, they will consume the resources, and then everyone lives in anarchy. Then everyone starves to death. This isn't a very hard point to understand. If you have a sandwich and there's a hungry kid outside, you can share the sandwich and help the hungry kid. But if you have a sandwich and there's 1,000 people outside and they're all threatening to burn your house down, well, you giving them a sandwich and letting your kid starve to death, that's not going to help the 1,000 people outside your house. You need to have enough resources to actually help people for you to be able to help them. And then sharing for the sake of sharing when you don't have enough food to keep everyone alive, that's a pointless gesture. So pretty much Batman, it's Tim Drake, by the way, in the Batman Beyond suit, but he says, okay, well, try to figure out a solution to this problem, and then Batman Beyond goes on his adventure. And every once in a while they'll cut away from the Batman Beyond adventure to show this immigration, the wall parable, and Barbara Gordon and Luke Fox keep sending out boxes of food and medicine out to the crowds outside. And one of the Gotham cops essentially makes the comment that I have a sick kid who needs medicine. Why should they get medicine and my kid doesn't get medicine? And here again, I was still kind of digging this because it's allowing two perspectives to be voiced. So obviously the Gotham wall seems to be a comment on Trump's wall. This all seems to be a comment on the refugee crisis and immigration policy, where Batman and Barbara Gordon are arguing for letting people. Well, that's not fair. Barbara Gordon isn't just letting them in, but they're arguing for letting all these refugees in and let them share all the resources in Gotham. And then people like Luke Fox are being a little bit realistic and talking about the reality that they don't have enough resources to go around. The cop on the beat in the Gotham Police Squad is making the point that if we're handing out free medicine, well, where's the free medicine for my kid? If you're gonna get, why do their kids matter, but my kid's life doesn't matter? And then Barbara says, well, if you can't follow orders, then I expect you to resign. And then shortly after that, the crowds of people blow up the gate to Gotham's wall, and they start bursting in with what looks like tanks and heavy weaponry, and we get this nice little Workers of the World Unite speech. People are dying out there because you thought you could keep what you have. Your food, water, and medicine, it's not just yours anymore. From now on, it belongs to everyone. So what we have now is the refugees are starting a Marxist revolution. They are planning to burn and steal and destroy stuff and take property away from the people of Gotham and redistribute it to themselves. This is a violent revolution. So still, I was still on board at this point. It still felt like this was kind of even-handed. They weren't making the anti-immigration position out to be evil fascist Nazis and the pro-immigration position to be wonderful, moral, decent people, sad pictures of children and puppy dogs. It felt balanced. It felt like the people who didn't want to let all these refugees in had a good point. It felt realistic that these refugees who are hungry and dying, that they would resort to violence as a way of getting what they want, because this is a fight over resources to stay alive. When survival is on the line, people put their survival first. The situation continues to escalate, and this is where it starts getting a little cringy and a little stupid. So Barbara Gordon, I guess she's supposed to be 40 or something. I can't tell whether she's supposed to be 50 or 60 like she was in the animated series and they're just drawing her too young, or if somehow in this universe she's still 30 years old or something. But Barbara Gordon says that we're showing them that our intention is peaceful. She's telling her officers to stand down, and one of her officers says that when these savages are stealing everything we've got? No way. And then Barbara Gordon punches the officer and knocks him out. Yeah, right. Yeah, I do not believe that if you were in a situation where hordes of people had blown up a gate and were driving down the street in a tank promising to steal everything and redistribute it to everybody, I don't believe that any responsible police commissioner, that their response to that would be to turn around and punch one of their police officers, because we got to show them we're peaceful, guys. We gotta show them we're nonviolent. The crowds of people, the Marxist revolutionaries, have already escalated this to the point of violence. There's no going back. There's no sitting down and talking it out with a mob of raging people who are breaking stuff. We're past that point of no return. And then it keeps going. Then you flash forward a few scenes, and Micron is saying, tell your people to stand down, Barbara Gordon. We can't let people go into war over bags of rice. Well, the people who instigated this war are the crowds of refugees. And then Superman shows up. It's Superman's son. And he says, the Justice League is back. We must rebuild. And here's his speech. And this is where I went initially from really liking this story and thinking, yeah, it's kind of a comment on the wall, but I was thinking the whole time that it's balanced and it's fair and it's much better than SJW Marvel. And then when we get to this speech from Superman, I really got skeeved out. All of you says Superman, all of you have skills, talents, and abilities of your own. You must use those talents to work together to rebuild Earth and make it better than it was. Use your different experiences to make sure you all have what you need. Don't focus on yourself as individuals. Unite. Join together so that we can live and shape our future in unison. And then Micron, being, I don't know, is it the inverse, converse, or contrapositive of a cuck? And Micron says, way to lay it down, Superman. Nothing like some good old-fashioned collectivism. Good grief. This illustrates so well the tone deafness of these writers, okay? If I have a kid, we're imagining I'm a resident of Gotham City in this post-apocalyptic world, and I've got a kid. Well, let's say I'm single. If I'm single in this post-apocalyptic world, it's one thing for me to say, well, I'll share my sandwich with these poor starving people. I'll risk starving to death to help them stay alive. But if I have a family, then the calculus is different, because if I've got little boys and little girls and I'm sharing my food, then it's not just my life that I'm sacrificing. It's the lives of my children I'm sacrificing. So you're darn right. In a situation where I have enough food to keep my family alive, and I'm being asked to share it with masses of people, I'd rather keep my family alive than have my family die and the masses of humanity die, because there's not enough food to go around. And it's not selfish for me to do that, because I am looking after my own family's interests. And this gets at a big, huge political problem about individualism and collectivism. I don't know where this comes from. I heard it from Ben Shapiro. He might have gotten it from someone else, but some progressive was giving a speech about caring for all children and treating them all and sharing everything. And Ben Shapiro, or whoever he was quoting, asked the question, what are my children's names? If you care about the collective so much, if you want to put aside individualism and care about the collective, then what are my children's birthdays? What kinds of foods do they like? Are they picky about mac and cheese or spaghetti? Why don't you know this if you care so much about the collective and my children? And it's a powerful point. The individualism, I don't know, and Ayn Rand. So I've read a little Ayn Rand, and my interpretation of Ayn Rand is she's kind of she's a version of libertarianism, but she doesn't represent all of libertarianism, because Ayn Rand kind of had the idea that to look after number one, to look out look out for yourself as an individual is itself moral, and that you're not morally obligated to share or help anyone else. It's actually moral if you let other people fend for themselves and they become self-reliant and individualistic. And I think the term for this is ethical egoism, that you should be egotistical, that you should look out for your own ego and your own affairs. And then Thomas Sowell will write about something called not ethical egoism, but essentially descriptive egoism or psychological egoism. It's not that being selfish is good. It's just factual that people are selfish and look out for their own interests. So, and there's no way around that. You can't make a parent whose children are starving care more about some child half a country away or half a world away more than they care about their own child. We may care about the plight of other people to a degree because we're concerned for humanity, we're concerned for our fellow man, we're concerned for posterity, but when push comes to shove, we care about our children and our fathers and our mothers and our sisters and our brothers and our husbands and wives. We look out for our family first, and that's a form of that. It's selfish in the sense that we're looking out for our own family, but it's selfless in the sense that we're putting our family's needs before our own needs. And this is the thing I think the left keeps missing. Superman's speech is essentially put aside your individuality and work for the sake of the collective, and that's too abstract. I made the sandwich. He's floating there above everybody's heads with his superpowers. Is Superman gonna go grow the food that makes the sandwiches that I'm supposed to share, or does Superman get to fly around telling everybody extolling the virtues of collectivism to everybody? Everything about this picture is so creepy. Even if his expression is sinister. Screw collectivism, guys. So yeah, my conclusion is that Batman Beyond started as an A in being a good example of subtle political storytelling, and then just gradually kept hammering the same point over and over and over again. And then this Superman communist speech feels like it belongs in Red Sun, not a good Batman Beyond book. I really like the sketches at the end of the book, though. I gotta say that. So artistically, I'm really impressed by the finished art. I'm really impressed by the process art and getting to see the steps in achieving the finished art. The A-plot, the adventure story with Batman, was still pretty good. I didn't like it quite as much as Volume 1, which I thought was just a tremendous action-adventure story consistently. That's all. I'm #1 Marmaduke fan, and there's some SJWDC too, guys. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, my fellow Batman bros. There's a creep effect from Marvel over to our boy Bats. I'm #1 Marmaduke fan. Love you guys. Catch you later.